We've seen how contracts execute code and call other contracts. But how do we get data back from a function call? When a function finishes, it needs a way to return data to whoever called it. The EVM has a dedicated opcode for this purpose. It's called return. Return takes two arguments from the stack. First, an offset. This points to a location in memory. Second, a size. This tells the EVM how many bytes to return. It then returns that chunk of memory to the caller. In Solidity, we use the return keyword. Here's a simple function that returns the number 42. It looks straightforward, but there's more happening behind the scenes than you might think. When Solidity compiles this code, it performs three steps. First, it stores the value 42 in memory. Second, it uses the return opcode to specify where that value is in memory. Third, the data is sent back to the caller. This process happens for every function that returns data. In Yule, we see these steps explicitly. First, mstore stores the value 42 in memory at offset 0x80. Then return takes two arguments, the memory offset 0x80 and the size, 32 bytes. Remember, the EVM works with 256-bit words, which is 32 bytes. So even though 42 is a small number, we're returning a full 32-byte word. Let's visualize this with a memory diagram. Here's memory represented as an array of cells. We're going to focus on offset 0x80. Now watch what happens when we execute mstore. The value 42 gets written to memory at offset 0x80. Now comes the return operation. Return takes the offset and size from the stack. It highlights the memory region we're returning, in this case, 32 bytes starting at 0x80. And this data flows back to the caller. The caller receives the 32-byte value containing 42. This is how all data gets returned from function calls in the EVM. Now there's another opcode that behaves similarly. It's called revert. Return is used for successful execution. It keeps all state changes and returns data. Revert is used when something goes wrong. It rolls back all state changes but still returns data. Usually, revert returns error information so the caller knows what went wrong. Both opcodes use the same mechanism to return data from memory. Revert works exactly like return in terms of the memory mechanism. It also takes an offset and a size, pointing to data in memory. But revert does two additional things. It undoes any state changes made during the transaction, and it returns the remaining gas to the caller. This is crucial for error handling, which we'll cover in more detail in a later video. So remember these 3 points. Return ends execution and sends data back to the caller. That data comes from memory using an offset and size. And revert does the same thing, but also rolls back any state changes. In the next video, we'll explore how new contracts are created and deployed on the blockchain.